Hi, my name is Will Hopping, and I lead our product team at SONAR. I'm joined here by Danielle Roberts, who is also a member of our product team. And we're going to walk through our national and market truckload insight pages. What you can see behind me is our national insight page. The purpose of these pages is to give a quick snapshot as to what is happening in the national truckload market. In the upper left corner, you can see capacity. This is our outbound tender rejection index. It's been going down over the last week and the last month. You have demand in the center, relatively stable. There's some downward movement in recent weeks. And then fuel. Below that, if you don't want to look at the numbers, you can take a look at the insights and guidance. And so that lists out in easy to understand short snippets what all is happening in the market in terms of leverage, in terms of conditions, in terms of rates, and the trends that we're seeing there. Speaking of rates, we have those right below. You can see how spot has trended over the last 3 months. It's been a steady downward shift. And then just beside that, you have our contract information. And so you can see relatively stable. We've seen, right in the middle of the last 52 weeks as well. Beside that, we have our most volatile market. So Danielle, what's helpful about the volatile markets and how might folks use that?
Yeah, so in addition to giving you that kind of national overview, we also highlight those top moving markets. You can look at it by your volume or that demand in that market, as well as the spot rate movements, and just kind of isolating what market is seeing the most change and if you need to focus more and drill in deeper there. You can also drill in through our map, where you can also look at the rejections, volumes, as well as those spot market, spot rate trends. So if we, looking at the map, the blue markets are going to be those that are seeing the increase in spot market rates. The reds are going to be those that are showing decreases. So looking at it this way will also show you when certain regions are showing tightening, whether it's weather disruptions or, other factors that may be affecting it.
Absolutely. And in this case, you can see, Pacific Northwest, really kind of rates are moving down on a whole, whereas the Midwest, things seem to be heating up over the last couple of days.
Yep, exactly. And then our chart here is going to be looking at those outbound tender rejections compared to the spot rates. So this is going to be tracking those capacity movements and how much of those load tenders are being rejected, potentially getting pushed out to the spot market, and how that will also affect those spot market rates. Obviously, if those rejections are increasing, then the spot market rates are going to follow suit. Typically, the rejections lead what you may be feeling or seeing in those rate trends by a few days.
Absolutely. This chart's really interesting to watch right now, as you can see kind of that divergence between the National Truckload Index and tender rejections. Typically, they do trend together, but seeing that separation, the continued decrease in spot rates will be something to watch.
Most definitely. So now, although this is great giving you those high-level insights, you can drill in further, as I mentioned, clicking on a market in the table or anywhere on the map. So if we go ahead and click on Cincinnati, this is going to really drill in and give you insights on the market itself.
Absolutely. So what's happening in a given market? Right up here at the top, we have, again, focusing on tender rejections, that capacity information. What are things currently like in this market? And you can see big red letters, tight. This market's very tight. We've got rejections almost at 12%. And then how have those been changing, though, is really interesting as well. And so on the right-hand side, you have our weighted rejection index that shows a substantial loosening in capacity in this market. You can see this on the chart as well, our tender rejection index for the Cincinnati market compared to the national rejection index. So walk me through a little bit about what we're seeing happening in Cincinnati and how maybe a broker would take advantage of this.
Yeah, definitely. So current market conditions, as Will had mentioned, are tight. However, looking at that key market trend, we are showing extreme loosening. Looking at the rejections on the chart here, you can see just over the last week or so, they have essentially dropped off a cliff and have really started to loosen up. They were still, that 11.3% still significantly tighter than the national average. So something to keep in mind if you're trying to secure capacity in this area. It is also an outbound heavy market, which means that there's a lot of demand coming out for the trucks that are in that area. So if I were looking to book freight, if I had time on that pickup, I'm going to wait to cover that load because I know as those rejections decrease, the rates are going to follow suit over the next couple of days, and I'm going to be able to beat yesterday's rate or even, especially a couple days ago, and start to see those conditions loosen, start to experience an easier in securing that capacity.
Absolutely. If you're a broker or a shipper and you've been having some trouble in this market recently, this certainly helps validate that, explain what's going on, and give you a glimmer of hope. Things are coming back down a little bit to normal. We are still seeing, a lot of volatility in the last couple of months, but hopefully that starts to smooth a little bit.
Yep, most definitely. You'll also see the outbound and inbound rank here behind me as well. So just kind of letting you know where this market sits in relation to all the other 135 markets and how much outbound or inbound volume it may be seeing.
Absolutely. So if you want to know what's going on, both at a national level or drill down into certain markets, it's a great way to start your morning, understand what's happening in the areas in which you focus, and make some key decisions throughout the day.